Had a good day. Apologies for the lateness of the video. Had a rough day in treatment, so took me a while to get myself together. So I know I said I'd post this tomorrow, but I was feeling a little better, so I figured I'd get it out the way now. But anyway, so hope everybody had a great day. This was a very interesting DR day for me. As you can see by the chart, we had a lot of movement, and so let's go through it really quick. All right, so we had about a 24, 23 point range today, so really wide range coming out of the gate. And we 10:30 we kind of tapped this DR low and then just kind of reversed off of it and went all the way back up here to the DR high side. Now, a couple of things to talk about today. You know how we have that issue with the ES confirming and the MES being about a tick or two behind. We had the same issue today, right? So we had ES confirm at about 11:20 on that candle, on this candle here. So this is the ES chart we're looking at. MES didn't confirm until this candle over here, this 11:30 candle. So what I decided to do was I said, I've been playing around with 5 or more MES contracts, and so today I said, well, I'm just going to go ahead and go ahead and trade the ES. Pricing wise is about the same, and I'd gotten used to kind of seeing the numbers jump up. So I grabbed one ES contract, which is $50 a point, and I grabbed it on this retrace here, right? So once we confirmed on this green candle, this next red candle came down and started to move back up. So that's my retrace I'm looking for. My order is just as normal. It was on this IDR high line, and got picked up. So right away, we're moving up. Life is good. My initial targets, my stop loss was 5 points, which was right below this fair value gap. There's another one down here as well. And my initial take profit, of course, was 5 points, which I'm at 4102.25. I think is where I got in. And so I'm looking at 407.25 as my take profit. Now, what ends up happening, of course, you see we kind of start to consolidate for a while here. And interesting enough, I was like, I'm going to let this play out because I want to see, how the ES really moves and if I'm, comfortable enough to just let it play itself out. So, we had this movement up, and then, we broke down and dropped all the way back down to this fair value gap. So my stop now is down here, right? So I'm like, okay. Once I saw that it came down and didn't go all the way through the fair value gap into the other one, because I've gotten stopped out there, it started to reverse. I said, oh, let me grab another contract right on this IDR high line. And of course, I'm at work on a Wednesday on my phone, and I could not get my phone to place the order. So I tried, and for this little time that it was continuing to move up, I was trying my best to get the order placed. Couldn't do it, so I'm stuck with one contract. Could be worse. And so what ends up happening, of course, is, ES price moves up, comes back up here again. We got to 4107.25, and of course that's my 5 points. So I started to, I said, okay, let me move my stop up a little higher. My take profit up higher. See if we can get 10 points out of it. Now, if you guys get, like I said, this is my ES chart, and on my MES chart, I have all my sell side lines drawn, my midnight open, weekly open. I didn't have any of those on this ES chart, and so as I move my take profit up, I was going to move my stop up, and I actually did. Once we got to this candle, started moving up here. I actually set my stop loss into profit, right? So I had my 5 points kind of locked in here in case anything happened. And so this morning, like this midnight open line was not there, right? So in one of my groups, somebody said, "Oh man, we're up against midnight. We might, it might end up being resistance." So I'm looking, going like, "Wait a minute, where's midnight?" So on this candle, I drew midnight really quick, which was at 4109, and so it tested it once, came back down, tested it again, came back down. And by the time I hit this third candle, I saw the resistance happening. And so I literally just pressed the X on my contract that was open. Ended up being 9 points right around here. And as soon as I did that, this thing just died, right? And so was very glad, appreciate the teamwork in one of my groups that somebody actually just said it, because otherwise I would have been had my eyes stop, down here, or actually, I got 5 points still, but I would definitely have not gotten anything. I wouldn't have gotten, 7 points. So anyway, so that was the first trade, and that was really my only DR trade for the day. Once price started coming back down, it came back down again, and it retested, all the way back down into this fair value gap, and then kind of, broke through it. And so I put another order to go long, right back on that RDR high line. And once I saw this fair value gap form, and we started doing this again, I said, well, that's probably not going to work. It's respecting this fair value gap. And at that point, this fair value gap was actually no longer there, right? Because that had been filled in. So, right, so this fair value gap, again, was being respected. And so, again, not an IDR trade, really an ICT trade. So I actually end up taking this order off, and I put an order here at the bottom of that fair value gap to go short. And so did that, and was expecting it to run short, which it did. I had 5 points that I had set for it, and what ended up happening, 5 points was about right here. And so when it came down, it came down to the blue line, which, as we know from DR, IDR, is that 0.5 fib, which again is another area where we could have support, and it could turn around. So once it did this move, this little, turn around, this J right here, or whatever, L, whatever you want to call it. But once it did this move, I was like, well, it's probably turning around. So I went ahead and closed out that, took the 5 points off of that trade. And then, as we all know, what happened today, it just kind of dove all the way down, got down to this area, and I said, well, maybe it's going to do a retirement setup. It played around with it for a little while, and then it just died off, came back up and did the same thing. So again, that was my last trade. I didn't make another trade after that. Again, so happy with kind of the progress today. I will say, this initial trade was on my ES, and then I actually switched over to MES on this one because I just want to give all the money back in case I got stopped out, right? So pretty good on both accounts. And again, if you had taken this trade down, like if we had shorted right off the top of this midnight, which something like at midnight is going to act as resistance or support a lot of times. And so if I would have just taken that off at midnight, I could have shorted that all the way down. But again, that's hindsight, and that wasn't the strategy I was playing today. I was doing the DR strategy, which says I'm supposed to be looking at for price to move back up above the DR high line. And so this was just a hunch trade. Once I saw this fair value gap kind of being respected all these times, then when it came back into it again, I just go ahead and put the order at the bottom of that fair value gap. But that way, if it keeps going up, I'm still protected, right? I don't get picked up here. If I would have put it here or higher, then potentially I would have gotten, picked up and then stopped out if it kept going higher. Putting it here, that's just a way for, again, to protect myself, at least one or two ticks where if it comes back, if it keeps going up, I can just really close out that trade and not be impacted by it. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. I'll probably be, doing ES kind of at least for the foreseeable future instead of doing the MES. Again, I'm used to the bigger numbers now, having done 5 and 10 lot orders on the MES. So I'm doing 1 or 2 ES contracts. I think my psyche can handle that. So we're going to try it out and see what happens. The strategy doesn't change. Nothing changes. It's still the same DR strategy. Again, it's just the numbers are bigger. And, when they move, it looks, can kind of scare you if you're not used to it. So now I'm used to it. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so again, thanks everybody. Again, apologies for the delay. Feeling a lot better. So I figured I'd go ahead and knock this out. Hopefully it was helpful. And I will see you guys tomorrow.